Welcome everyone. Thank you for clicking on the video. I started the DLC with a Dexterity Arcane build and would alternate between the Naga Kiba and Eleonora's Poleblade. Surprisingly, I never played with Eleonora's Poleblade until the DLC. In this video, I will show you where you can find Eleonora's Poleblade, why is it a good option for a bleed build, and how you can improve your damage numbers with it. Perfect. Now that we have that out of the way, let's see where we can find Eleonora's Poleblade. So if you've been to Lendell, um, the first side of grace you see is the Altus Highway Junction side of grace. You just need to follow the road right beside it towards the northeast, cross the group of nobles, and as soon as you see a map tower like that one, just head left and keep dropping down, and you'll come up on the second Church of Marika. Here you'll get invaded by Eleonora, Violet Bloody Finger. This is not a particularly easy fight in the beginning, so I would suggest using the Naga Kiba or any other ranged option. The Naga Kiba gives you a good range, so you can basically attack from a certain distance where you can't take hits but you can dish out damage, and that's how you get Eleonora's Poleblade. So now that we have the weapon, let's see what makes it so good for a bleed build. The first benefit that you notice straight off the bat is the speed. This weapon does attacks really quickly, which means two things. Since you'll be doing more hits in a lesser amount of time, that means you'll be procting bleed faster. The second benefit of that is that since you're doing successive strikes repeatedly, this will also engage all the talismans that help you boost attack power when you do successive attacks. The second benefit of the weapon is its Ash of War. The Ash of War also does multiple hits. It is a two-step Ash of War, so there is a first attack and then there is a second attack of the Ash of War, and it does a crazy amount of stance damage. That's what I've seen, and I'll also show you in the videos as well that you'll see it does a lot of stance damage as well. So about the talismans, there are a lot of talismans that you can use for this build. It depends on what your playstyle is and what you have available, right? But I'm just going to suggest the ones that I use. So the first talisman that I use for any bleed build is Lord of Blood's Exaltation. This gives you 20% more attack power for 20 seconds when there is blood loss in the vicinity. Now with Eleonora's Poleblade, you will be procting bleed very quickly, so it's good to have this on to get that 20% extra damage. The second talisman that I use is Millicent's Prosthesis. So this has two benefits. The first benefit is that it increases your dexterity by 5 points. Eleonora's Poleblade primarily scales on dexterity and arcane. So if you can get plus 5 points in your in dexterity, that helps a lot. But this also has a secondary benefit that it increases the attack power of your successive strikes. And that number goes up to, I think, 11% if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's a good talisman to have, especially for a weapon that hits that quickly. The third talisman that I usually go for is the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia. So the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia does the same thing, that it increases attack power of successive strikes, but it increases them by 13%. Which is more than what Millicent's Prosthesis does. But if you don't have that, you can also go for the Winged Sword Insignia that you can find in Liurnia very, very early in the game. It's in a catacomb or a cave, and it also increases attack power of successive strikes, and the attack power goes up by 10% for successive strikes, up to 10% for successive strikes. The other talisman is Shard of Alexander. All of us know this. Everyone uses it. If you have it, use it. It will increase the damage that you do with the Blood Blade Dance, which is the Ash of War for Eleonora's Poleblade, by 15%. So Eleonora's Poleblade also does fire damage. If you want, you can add in the Fire Scorpion Charm, which will increase your fire damage by 12%, but you'll also take 10% more physical damage. I particularly don't use it when I'm playing with Eleonora's Poleblade, but if you want to use it, you can. For your armor, the Rakshasa set, if you have all 4 pieces on, does 8% more damage, so you can use that. But if you want to increase your damage further, I would suggest that you go for 3 pieces of the Rakshasa armor set and the white mask that you get from Vare's questline. That increases your attack power by 10% whenever there is blood loss in the vicinity. Now for your physic, you can do quite a few things, but what I do is, the first thing is the Thorny Crack tier. So this increases your attack power for successive attacks by 20%, very similar to Millicent's Prosthesis, Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, etc. But it keeps that effect on for 3 minutes, so which is a good duration for you to, keep triggering that effect. For the second tier, you can either use the Flame Shrouding Crack tier, which increases your fire damage by 20%. If not that, you can use the Stone Barb Crack tier. You'll already be doing some stance damage with the Bloodblade Dance Ash of War, and if you add the Stone Barb Crack tier, you'll do more stance damage and they'll make you do more critical hits. So just a quick recap. I'll just show you the move set. As you can see, it does really quick R1s. Even the R2 is quite quick. Here it is. Now the jumping attacks. And then the Ash of War. So there are 2 strikes. First one. It's the second one. Again, first one. And then the second one. Thank you everyone for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. For more Elden Ring videos, you can click on one of the cards on the screen, and for more dumb ways to game, please subscribe.